All right, let's get that adjacency up and running here on the common segment between routers 1 and 3. And then in the next video, we'll bring the global unicast address for the loopback into play. And I'll run a couple of show IPv6 OSPF commands, get you kind of used to those, and then we'll move on. So let's go ahead and bring the equipment up. I've already verified connectivity and the addressing, so we're all good there. So what is the very first thing I really should do when I'm starting an IP version 6 config? I should enable that globally. So let's do that. IPv6 unicast routing. Now I'm going to go ahead and enable OSPF globally. Watch this one when you're using iOS help, because if you use this and you see OSPF there near the bottom of the screen, it's like, oh, okay, IPv6 OSPF. Well, all that's going to let you do is use a name lookup command, which allows us to display RIDs as DNS names. Not something we're really interested in right now, so instead we want to use the router command. Just remember your router OSPF1 command, or whatever number you're going to use for the process ID, and put IPv6 right in front of it. That's all there is to it. And then there's your process ID. Notice it drops us into router configuration mode, and almost immediately we get a message telling us that OSPF v3, and that's a great thing to remember because it's not saying OSPF for IP version 6. When you're running debugs or you get warnings or informational messages and it says OSPF v3, you know we're dealing with the version 6 version. Could not pick a router ID, please configure manually. Okay, well, while we're here, we'll certainly do that, and of course we remember we have to put it in dotted decimal format, the classic format here. And we'll put it in 1111, and that's it. With this router ID command at this point, where there's no reloading, anything like that, like we would have with OSPF version 2. So far so good. Let's get back to what we were doing though. We've got it globally configured, and now we've set a RID. And while we're here, we're going to go ahead and enable OSPF on the interface we're going to put it on, which is Fast Ethernet 00. And it's IPv6. And lots of choices here, but OSPF is the one we want. Still a pretty good number of choices, but what we need to do right now, of course, is define the process ID and then just the area, and we're going to put it in area 0, and that's that. So let's go over to router 3, and we're going to do the exact same stuff. IPv6 unicast routing. After you practice that for a while, you're just going to be typing. You won't even think about it. You'll just type and say, oh, okay, I already did that part. So we're going to do IPv6 router, OSPF, and the process ID comes there. And I think we should get the same message. I might have been playing with the console here a little bit. I think I was. So let me go ahead and set a router ID here. And let's see, we need to go out to the interface and take care of business. IPv6 OSPF1 area 0. We go into logging in ICND2, and I'll show you what I did there to not get an administrative message. But we've got and then we've got our adjacency already up and running. OSPF v3, again, that's a tip-off that you're working with OSPF for IP version 6. And there's your neighbor ID, your RID, and loading to full, and it doesn't really get any better than that. That's exactly what we wanted. So on the very next video, it's going to be a quick one as well. We will add the loopback to this network, and we'll take a look at the OSPF routing table and then run a couple of show IPv6 OSPF commands and wrap it up. So I'll see you on the next vid.